Good day, everybody. My name is Josh, and this is my co-host, Nathan.
Hello.
And this week, we're going to be talking about the trinity of KSI, Logan Paul, and Mr. Beast and their future endeavors. As I feel like, yeah, exactly. I feel like with last week, it's been a bit of a messy one. By messy, I mean we were talking about a lot of things within that topic. But why not just focus on three people and their three businesses, see if and talk about if they should be successful, if they're going to be successful, or if they even deserve, if that company even deserves to be that successful in the first place.
Oh no Paul, no Pauls.
Right. So I'm going to start off with probably the least controversial one, and I'm going to go straight to Mr. Beast and his chocolate festivals.
Oh, festivals.
How do you feel about that?
To be honest, I couldn't care less because I don't really eat chocolate. So it's just generic, crappy, cheap chocolate that he's trying to sell off on people. It's thin, crappy chocolate. I can't see the point. If he wants to do it, fine. But it's like, nah, I don't care about that. There's chocolate everywhere, and it's American chocolate, so it's going to be crap. It's not Cadbury's, so who cares?
I mean,
rubbish.
I've tried Feastables not long ago whilst I'm up here on holiday because I went to an American shop that I know, and it has like a box of every flavour of Feastables.
Yeah.
And I will say, very goddamn thin. It's tasty, but then I look at what Jimmy has put inside of it, and it's like you compare it to what Cadbury's is. And it's typical Americans. They throw way too much stuff inside of their products.
Yeah, it is just generic. It's something that annoys me about a lot of the YouTuber products, and there's quite a few I'll talk about that really upset me. It's the same sort of thing as size, which we'll get to as well. They're just generic products with different wrappers. I can't see the point in it. It's pointless. And there's an American crap. Who wants American crap? Nobody wants to eat American chocolate. It's rubbish.
No, it's what is it? I saw Lad Bible. They did something with Seth Rollins from WWE, and they said who's got the better chocolate, and he automatically cuts across like England. England have the far superior, better chocolate, and I'm American, but England, the United Kingdom,
is rubbish.
Has got that. Hershey's is rubbish. Agreed.
Yeah, it is absolutely. The only thing good Hershey's is the syrup.
I'll vouch. That's very nice. That's a nice shout.
Yeah, Hershey's syrup is good. Hershey's cookies and cream chocolate, I don't mind that. But on the whole, like Hershey's Kisses and all that, it's just... The trouble is, it's the same thing as with most things in America. They over-sweeten it. Bread has too much sugar in it. It's almost like cake, bread in America. It's dreadful. You look at... There's loads of different channels that have done articles comparing American to British products like baked beans, tomato ketchup, and the amount of sugar and stuff they put in the American versions is ridiculous. The amount of colorings and stuff.
Oh, no, the coloring is what gets me annoyed because that holds a lot of sugar in general. Yes, it's like tomato ketchup here is it's equivalent to like 6 tablespoons of sugar, but then you do it for Americans. Yeah, you look at the Americans, it's a dozen tablespoons.
Oh, you said
all the products that they put in.
Something interesting I learned about Heinz ketchup the other day, which was really bizarre, just a bizarre thing that I didn't know. So a lot of restaurants and so on use Heinz ketchup bottles, yeah?
Yes.
They see them all the time, but they could refill it with anything, couldn't they? Let's be honest. Heinz were actually concerned about that. So they've done something. So their Heinz ketchup is a specific color. You know the label that says Heinz ketchup? It's got a red border on it, hasn't it?
Yes.
The red border is the exact color of the ketchup. So if it doesn't match the ketchup inside, you know it's not Heinz.
It's sneaky, but very clever. Very sneaky.
It's clever. Yeah, I quite like that. I saw that the other day. I don't know what it was on a short or something. It's like, that's quite cool.
Right. So next up, did you mention sides? And we may as well just go for. We will go for YouTube products and stuff like that. So sides, biggest waste of time.
Well, sides and Beast Burger. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of these kind of things around, and they're ridiculous because they're not actual products by these people. So
No,
what they do,
it's the
they
name.
get
It's the name.
it's just other restaurants will make them in the restaurant and put them in different boxes. That's all they are. There's no kind of, oh, this is our recipe. No, you choose from a generic list of stuff. Right, we want this, and this on our menu, and they just get it from the same places. So it might be the kebab shop down the road that you get your kebabs and chips from. It'll be exactly the same products, but in a different box. That's all any of them are. It's absolutely ridiculous. I see the idea. Although with sides, they have now got their own stores.
Yes,
So
this is
that
what
is
I
different.
wanted to talk about when you brought up sides. Is that yes, they've got their own stores and they're actually starting to expand, but the whole reason, and I'll say the same for Prime when we go over to it, it's the name of the brand that was already a brand. Sides. It's got Sidemen involved. It's got all 7 Sidemen. It's the name. It's not
100%.
what goes on behind the scenes. It's what you see. But now that they've got 2 stores in London, and they're doing.
Lost you.
They've done one in my.
Yeah, lost you then.
Edinburgh. Yeah, sorry. Doing one in Cardiff and one in Edinburgh. And
that'd be cool.
Them actually expanding.
The one thing I will say about sides as well is you can actually get it in Iceland, so you can get sides there, and you can get a lot of the different sauces. They're actually not bad. I've tried a couple of the sides because obviously I tried it when Jack was over one day, so we got a couple of the sides from Iceland, and they're actually not bad. It's better than just the generic stuff. They actually have specific products now, so that is a lot better. They've moved on, so Beast Burger and all the other ones are just, like I said, the generic ones. But they've actually come up with actual products that are a little bit different to other things in the market. And some of their products are quite good and a little bit different, so that's quite good. And the sauces aren't bad as well. The chicken shop one they have is really, really nice. It's not overly spicy. It's just a really nice kind of ketchup, mayonnaise, and a few other things. And that's quite nice. I quite like that. It was, I was impressed with that. It was a bit different. And XIX vodka, the first product they came up with, is actually really good. I did do a review of it on my channel. I need to do some more with Prime with it as well, but I just never have time. But XX vodka is actually really nice, and it is a premium vodka. I will say that I compared it to like other vodkas, and is really nice. I must admit, it was really good. I'd stay away from the premix stuff. They are syrupy, sugary, awful things at premix. Little cans you can get, but the actual XX vodka is really nice, and I really, really like that. Must admit.
I've never actually finished a bottle of XIX. I've taken sips, but I've never actually bought my own bottle.
No, I've got a couple of them. That's because at some point I plan to do a review of Prime as a mixer with vodka.
As a mixer,
But I just never have time. The trouble is, I've probably got about 15 different bottles of Prime now, maybe more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 19. Yeah, I've got about 20 bottles of Prime.
Jesus.
And all the cans as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cans and 3 different XIX premixes as well. So yeah, I've got all of them. I got all the Prime.
Of which, let's swiftly move over to JJ and Logan Paul and speak about Prime. I will start off by simply saying it's the first half of its life. I didn't even touch it.
You couldn't get it, could you?
Exactly.
That's the trouble.
The second half of its life, it's been. I see it. If I've got spare change, I will get it. Even if it's a new one, but if I've got spare change, I'll get it. I'm not one of the people that would go out hunting for a new flavor. If I see it, I'm getting it. Not forcefully going out to find the damn thing.
Yeah, I've kind of done that as well. If there's a new one, I'll look out for it if I see it. Well, half the time my mum does, to be honest, because she knows like Jack's into it as well. So if she's out and about and she sees one, she'll grab one if it's something we've not had before. I have ordered some online, I must admit, but that was grape, because you can't buy grape anywhere, and it's purple. So I had to have it for my shelf, because that's the thing, I've got it on my shelf behind me when I'm streaming.
Yeah.
So I've got my prime shelf, so I needed to try and get as many as I could. I've got most of them, to be honest. There's not many
Yeah,
that I don't have.
I've got about 50% of all prime bottles. But I don't keep them full. I drink them, and if I like them, well, either way,
Yeah.
if I like them or not, they're there in the corner of my room. I don't tend to keep them sealed. I like to taste them and be
Well,
like,
that's
okay.
what I keep planning to do, but I just haven't got around to it with work and everything else. I just haven't got around to sitting down and trying, because I want to do it on video. As I said, I want to test them all with vodka and see which is the best mixer, and do like a tier list and do like comparisons of them all. But it's just time. I haven't done a Whiskey Wednesday for ages. I just don't have time. It's just like lots of setup, lots to do, and it's just it's one thing after another. So I'm hoping to get back into that and do that at some point. But it's like, we started this as well. So there's even more things I'm doing on top of the streaming and the YouTube now, podcast. It's just like so many things. I'm working full time.
Yeah, trust me. I've got work, college. I'm applying for unis. I'm on my first proper week-long break.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but either way, I've got a question. I thought I would throw a question in the topics to see how well it does. And then I've done it for 3 specific genres of this topic if we get to it. The first question is, considering that we spoke about prime and the different flavors, what would you change in the production and selling of the product prime?
Cheaper. It's the whole thing, make it affordable and available. It is now available anywhere, and you can buy it, and it's often on sale. But I think that was the biggest problem, was the reselling and all that sort of thing. But that's not a fault of theirs. It is what it is. It was going to be popular. It's like with anything else, with concert tickets, with any kind of new and upcoming product, there'll always be people that will buy them. When the PS5 came out, people buy them in bulk and sell them for profit. The people I blame for that is the general public. If people are willing to pay that for something to get it first, then they've ruined it for everyone else, because something is only worth what it's worth if somebody is willing to pay for it. If somebody out there is willing to pay $5,000 for a ticket to go see Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, Metallica, then that's how much people will charge for it. Yeah. If nobody's interested in doing that, the price will go down. Same with the PS5, same with Prime. That stupid Wakey Wines bloke needs to be hit over the head with a couple of Prime bottles. It was disgusting how much he's charging people. But then if people are going to do it, he's going to charge it. So you can't really blame him. It's, a seller's market. And that's the trouble with society at the moment. You'll get people that have the money and want the latest thing, the latest iPhones, the latest Samsung, the latest consoles, the latest whatever, and they have the money to just throw away a couple of grand on it just because they want to. So they will. So people will always sell them.
Yeah. But the thing is, they can sell as many as they want.
Yeah.
When it comes to Logan and JJ, they know they're famous. They force people their fame down their throats.
Yeah.
Which is why when they mentioned just last year,
I keep losing you. I've only heard 50% of what, Josh. I've only heard about 50% of what you're saying. Keep losing the signal.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello. I think your internet's going, mate.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's not very good quality.
This is going to have to do because the Wi-Fi just went down. Little one pulled out the plug, so I'm using my 4G.
Ah. Cool. Yeah, I didn't hear most of what you were saying. It just kept going and going and coming back and going. And I tried to tell you, and then you went.
I was saying that Logan and JJ, they know that they're famous and they use their fame on purpose.
Yeah.
Which
Oh yeah,
I understand. I know business is business. You can't
but
not
it's
acknowledge that. But it's the fact
greed
that they do it on
business.
purpose. Yes.
That's it's what I don't like about it. And JJ is a lot to blame for that. Logan, 100%, he'll do anything for a quick buck. Something we'll touch on later,
Yes.
scams and so on, but he's known for that. And the trouble is, JJ isn't any better.
No.
He's tried to get the sidemen into crypto. And
Yeah,
that's a
I get
scam. We know it's going to be a scam.
on
and
many
it's
videos.
disgusting.
He mentions like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Toby, or Simon, you need to get on crypto." It's like, no, we don't want
No,
to.
but he wants them to come up with some kind of crypto coin. And it was Vic that said, no way this side of hell. He was so set against it. He was like, never doing it. Because he knows it's just a scam. And Vic won't do that. The thing is, JJ doesn't need the money. Logan Paul doesn't need the money. Jake Paul doesn't need the money. But they're all greedy. They're all hyper rich. You know, JJ makes enough off the sidemen, makes enough off his music, makes enough off sides and prime. He doesn't need to go ripping people off more, but he wants to.
Yeah.
It's greed. And it saddens me because, well, I'll say KSI rather than JJ because there are two different people there.
Yeah.
Which is something that most people don't really think about. But it is. JJ is the nice guy. KSI is the
Greedy,
money grabbing, greedy, and just obnoxious character that he puts on. It's like you watch the videos, and sometimes the real JJ will show through. He did the other day watching Simon's reaction videos when he told all the sidemen about the baby, and you can see JJ was there again. It was just little JJ, you know, the kid that used to stream in his parents' house in his bedroom, and he was just a nice guy. He was just being Simon's friend. He was really happy for him, and it was just a lovely moment. That's the JJ we want to see. We don't want to see KSI. KSI is larger than life. You know, he's like Logan and Jake are all trying to be this big like wrestler persona, and he's trying to do that too much. And he's loud. He's obnoxious. To be honest, he ruins most Sidemen videos because he's too over the top, and it annoys me. And the trouble is, they plug him too much.
I don't care what people say about what we're saying right now. It's our thoughts, our honest truth. But I will stand with you and scream at the top of my lungs, JJ makes Simon Sundays worse.
Yeah. Sometimes it'll work and he'll be fantastic and he'll be funny. But it's the ridiculous scream that he does for no reason. And when it's all about him, that just gets on my nerves. Like when they're doing the holiday videos, you know, cheap versus expensive, they can be amazing. Sometimes his reactions are genuine. You can see he's a bit upset. But when he just sits there screaming like a baby for 20 minutes, it's just like, okay, no, you're just putting it on and it just doesn't work. And that's what annoys me. And that's really, there's no need for it. So I don't mind him in Among Us videos. He does do the screaming thing and all, but is kind of in a context that makes kind of sense, you know? So I don't mind it then. And he screams when somebody's running and all that, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just, and it's, that persona needs to get rid of that and dump Logan Paul. He's making some money off it, but he's not helping himself. The trouble is he's backed Logan Paul a few times, like with the whole, you know, bloody Crypto Zoo scam nonsense.
God, yeah, I remember that.
But we'll get into that later when we talk about that kind of thing, because I got a topic dealing with that coming up later. But yeah, no, it's we don't need all these YouTube products. There's so many out there as well.
Yeah,
which I understand some of it, but some I can't remember what it was. Came up with these cookies, and the cookies were crap and really, really expensive. I can't remember which YouTube it was. Was it Pokemon or Valkyrie? One of those two, I think it was. Had these cookies that were just. Yeah, they were just really, really expensive, crappy cookies.
Yeah,
it's
TikTok shop it was.
But the one that annoys me as much as any others, Jacksepticeye.
Yep.
It really, really, really annoys me. Now, anyone knows me knows I am a fan of coffee. I've got 2 coffee machines in the office here. Now, that's how ridiculous it is. I've got more traditional kind of drip coffee machine and a grinder, and I've also got a bean to cup espresso machine, like full on, do all the TikTok stuff with the, you know, tamping and all that. I've got all of that. I love coffee. Now, he came up with a coffee, which once again, lots of other famous people have gone to the same company to get a coffee. You choose a coffee from a list that, you choose a mix of coffee beans you want from different locations, and you have the blend that you want. It's not like he makes it. This
No.
other company makes
Yeah.
it for him. It's called Top of the Morning. I thought, oh, great. A UK YouTuber, I'll get some of that coffee. No, I'm never getting it. Not only is it fairly expensive, which you expect, but it's the delivery. Because it comes from America, you're paying twice as much for delivery than you do for the actual product. And it's like, well, how's that fair to us in the UK? He's a UK personality. Why do we have to have stuff shipped from another country and spend twice as much as the Americans? And we're the kind of main audience for him, surely. Or at least we were, but now it's like. And I guess, and I've reached out to him and said, how's that feel? He says, that's what it is. Tough luck. If you want it, buy it. I'm like, no, I'm not going to then. Why? No way. I'm not buying anything like that just because it's got his name on it. And it's probably not that good coffee. It's just generic coffee. I could probably look at what coffee it is and get it from somewhere else at half the price.
It's got to be one of the, like, burn the beans with a press.
It's just...
Anyway,
it just frustrates me.
You get very annoyed talking about his coffee.
Oh, it's coffee. It's coffee. It's just like, there's no need to be like that. He could have a UK-based warehouse and ship it over at his cost so that his fans in the UK could purchase the coffee at a reasonable rate. But you know what? He hasn't. He's rich enough to just get it shipped over, and let's be honest, he'll get freebies and everything else. So he doesn't have to worry about that. The rest of us do, and I'm not spending £16 on a 250-gram bag.
No, that's ridiculous.
I can go to Tesco for a 250-gram bag. I can spend maybe £5, if that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. Yeah, ridiculous.
So let's move on to one of the polls. The one that I prefer, the one that could do well in wrestling, but let's talk about Logan Paul.
Can't stand him because of who he tries to be.
Yeah.
Now, if he just did the wrestling thing, fine. He plays a good character. We like to hate him. In Royal Rumble was quite good when he jumped on the table and all that. It was a good display. He knows what he's doing. He can do it. He's got the skills. He's got the personality to be the heel. That's exactly what he needs to do. He needs to play on that. Fine. I like the character.
Yeah.
Which is the exact opposite to JJ and KSI. Logan Paul Maverick, I don't mind.
Yep.
Logan Paul the man, I think, is an absolute piece of shit.
Yes,
100%.
I will say, I will say the same. I prefer him when he's put in on that lights, camera, action act. He can do that perfectly better than JJ. We know that much by now.
Yeah.
But the moment he steps outside of the world of wrestling, like, his name isn't even attached to wrestling. That's what I mean. Like, he stepped away from wrestling for a bit, or he's doing his YouTube stuff whilst taking a break from wrestling for like a month or two. He is so obnoxious. I do not watch him. He's one of the people that I really refuse to follow. But whenever
I couldn't.
Yeah, whenever it's about wrestling, and I will say wrestling only, I tune in. I like wrestling. I've watched it as much as I can.
I always have.
And
I watched this since I was a kid.
yeah, there we
wrestling.
are. But he's a good wrestler, and I want people to see it because I am a true Logan Paul believer when it comes to WWE. But outside of that product, where he can possibly be the next big face for the company, because he's young enough, he's got a good body.
The trouble is, though,
he's
not dedicated. Well, it's not that. He's not dedicated. If he just did WWE and set everything else aside to concentrate on that, I could take him seriously as a contender to do something. But he's not. He wants to do all the other things and do WWE on the side with his prime and do the sponsorship so he gets in and gets to do the big things. That's not fair on these other wrestlers that have had to build up from nothing and had to, play all these crappy venues and struggle to get where they are, to just have this
Yeah,
rich,
but
famous guy
we've
step in and do it,
we've had
which is
this
fine
twice
if
before,
you're
though.
dedicated to it.
Yeah, in wrestling, we've had this twice before. When Vince McMahon was in charge, we had a character named The Miz. He was
Yeah.
on that Joe Rogan, like American version of Anton Dex, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Survivor, that's it.
It was Fear.
Yeah.
It was the Fear one.
The fair
he did,
one,
wasn't
yeah.
it?
The Miz was on that one. And before you
Yeah.
know it, he's become a 2-time Grand Slam champion in WWE. And then we have Zack Ryder, who, yeah, his tenure at WWE wasn't long, but he was an influencer. Very small, but he made it into the world of professional wrestling. And now he's rumored to be coming back to the WWE because he's done very, very well in other wrestling brands. Logan Paul,
Which is
yeah,
fine
Logan Paul's the
because
third
he's been doing the
incarnation of that.
wrestling.
I understand
Yeah,
where
but
people like
which is fine.
Yeah.
If they, I don't mind where they come from and how they get into it, but it's once they do it, they need to do it.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a part-time job that they do occasionally for big events. How often is Logan Paul actually going to be on Raw, like in a Monday Night Raw, something like that, going against nobody,
Well,
doing just the standard? You know,
tell you
he does the big events.
Exactly. Since the 6th of January, he has been on 3 episodes of Raw, and he has been mentioned in 5 out of the 8 Mondays. So he's done all right, and I do trust what he said last year, that he's going to go balls to the wall this year, and he's actually going to try and win a championship. The only problem there is, if he wins a championship, that best be the last championship he does with YouTube. If he wins...
But then he's also said, but the trouble is, he wanted to also have a fight with Conor McGregor.
I don't want him to do that.
He wanted to put WWE on hold and expected him to pay, and he expected a lot from WWE to enable him to do it. It's like,
this is where the dick side of him comes out. Like you mentioned.
That's exactly why I won't take him seriously, WWE, because he keeps trying to do stuff like that to further himself using WWE. No. He should be furthering WWE, not himself. That's the thing I don't like. It's like Jake Paul saying he's good for boxing. No, he's not. He's not helping boxing. He's helping himself. He's making boxing a big joke, but I'm sure we'll get onto him in a minute. But that's the trouble. He's using WWE for his own gain. He's not, which, lots of people do, fine. But he's not bringing something to WWE in a good way. He's doing what his brother's doing with boxing at the moment. He's not doing it full time. He's not taking it seriously. He's not being a wrestler. He is being somebody that comes in to be a wrestler when it suits him. And I don't like that. I like wrestlers to be wrestlers. I don't want wrestlers to be part-time this and part-time that.
No,
I don't see John Cena, spending years doing something else. He's done some, acting, and he's, not bad. But he's still a wrestler at heart. And he always has been.
Yeah, but
Batista has given up wrestling to focus on acting.
Yeah, but when we go towards John Cena, he's getting a lot of stick at the moment, and I'm one of these people that are giving him stick. It's because he disappeared. Yes, understandably, his acting career was taken over a bit, but he waltzes back into WWE, and he claims for the Elimination Chamber, yes, I know I'm John Cena. I know this, and I deserve this spot. And
yeah, that whole thing annoyed me around the Royal Rumble that he should have won it. He should have won it. I deserve this. I deserve that. Well, it's storylines, mate. It's not deserve anything.
Yeah,
it's
I know
all
it's
made up storylines,
Yeah, I know it's storyline, but at the same time, it's business is business. I understand that side.
Yeah, that's exactly, It's, you can't say, I deserve this, I deserve that, I'm going to do... Oh, well, it's like, it's just a bit much when people demand things of the company they work for like that.
Yeah.
When they've made him who he is, he's done amazingly for WWE, and he has, brought WWE to a higher level than they were previously. A few people done it, Undertaker more than anybody. But I don't expect them to then go, right, now you owe me. That's not kind of how business works. You're part of the business, and, that it should be about the business, what's best for the business to grow the business further. That's what Vince McMahon always was. He wasn't, the most sort of perfect human being around, but he knew how to run the business. He
Yeah.
knew how to make
Which
it
is why
big and make it popular.
I mean, his most said word in this documentary that was on Netflix about him was business is business.
Yeah,
And if you
for the
don't like
business.
how the business runs, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Businessman. Business is business. It has to be, because they're trying to keep that business their business. If that,
Which is what I don't like. Once again, going back to influencers,
Yep.
Logan Paul.
there we go.
He's not about the business.
No.
He's about
No.
Logan Paul's business, not
Yes.
about the WWE. And I think the whole thing with Prime, sponsoring WWE and all these different football clubs, it's fine, sponsor, but then don't bring all the other stuff in, like Speed being in the... And it's just, I'm fed up of seeing Speed and KSI and everyone else in wrestling. They shouldn't be there. They're not wrestlers. They're not trained. They're not athletes. They shouldn't be anywhere near the damn place. At least Logan Paul has a background in college wrestling and knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
The others ain't got a clue. We don't need people like that in there. We don't.
Yeah, but this is where I'm going to disagree. Triple H is doing such an unbelievable job. Speed has, I don't even fucking care about Speed. I really do not like him. But I love the fact that WWE is like, do you know what, Speed? Out you go. You're in the Royal Rumble. And the fact that he was live streaming it the entire way through. That's
yeah, I see it's a good idea, but one-offs.
Yeah, like one-offs.
But they appear too often. It's a thing that annoys me. Every big event, right, let's get these influencers in. Well, I don't want to see Speed every time. The odd one, because he's been in a couple of them now.
Speed's only been
it's
in...
Like, we don't need him.
JJ's been in 3 times.
Yeah, no, that's... Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's too often they're doing it. For the occasional thing, as a surprise thing and a joke thing, it's like put him in the Royal Rumble, but he doesn't expect to be in it, and he gets completely pulverized by somebody. That I don't mind, but it keeps a reoccurring thing. Then, oh look, he had to go at Randy Orton, and he gets pummeled. Oh look, he's in the Royal Rumble, he gets pummeled. It's the same joke again and again and again. Where does it end? Do it occasionally as a surprise. It's like he's in the audience, like, oh, bouncing off, right, get in the wrong. That I don't mind, the kind of little jokey things, but I think it comes to a point where it feels like they're relying on doing that to get views, but they're getting pretty good views anyway, especially now they've got Netflix. They don't need to bring people like Speed in. They're Netflix now. You don't need it. Lost you again.
Hello?
Lost you completely.
Yeah,
then.
there we go. I'm back.
You're good.
Continue.
Are you back? No, you're not back. I knew you weren't back.
I'm back now, though.
Are you sure? Should I wait a couple of seconds and see if you disappear again?
No, I'm doing great now. Right, let's get this final 20 minutes done. So when we're talking about the whole WWE thing and the Logan Paul involvement with the likes of Tyson Nath and Speed and JJ alongside Logan, like I said, business. That's what Vince McMahon has always said, and I will fully stand on top of this hill by saying that I understand what Triple H is doing, trying to take in the reins of Vince McMahon, but I swear to God, if I see another big name in entertainment production that have a product, if I see JJ again, I'm gonna be annoyed, because that's falling into that world of influential products, which when it comes to influencers making products, you survive or drown. If you survived, you probably pulled a few strings, or you're obnoxious and you're poison. But if you fail, then that person wasn't going to succeed either way. It's just we have too much poison out there when it comes from influencers making their own product, and that it ain't gonna stop. It's one of those things that will never stop as long as YouTube thrives, as long as Twitch
Should we
thrives.
get on to the last of them? Should we? And have a good old rant about the
worst one of them all.
The worst of them all. Who we will get on to at a later date. I said I've got one planned about some other stuff that these people do, but he doesn't have. I think he's got some products out there as well. But the main thing is his boxing nonsense, which I'm so sick of seeing about him.
There's only one thing I will say that's good that has come out from this other person. I used to say his name this episode. This other person, the female boxing that he is helping, I fully support. But everything else in between, before and after.
I don't mind his.
Good.
That's the thing. I don't mind his business doing boxing. It's him having these ridiculous fixed fights against old has-beens. And no offense to Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson, through that fight, he could have put him in his place in the first 2 rounds. And you see him stop himself. And you see him being reminded that if he lays him out, he's not going to get him money. You can see it in the footage. You can see Tyson just going to pop him, and then it's like, oh, and he backs away. And you can see, like, when he's hit him really hard, they go to clutch, and he kind of gets told off. He's like, oh, yeah, I don't do this. Hey, what are you hitting me real for? You're not going to get paid, you do that. He's like, oh, okay, and he backs off. It's complete and utter crock of shit. I don't blame Tyson. Tyson, you know, he's an older gentleman. He's had health problems. He's squandered a lot of his money early on, you know, with various different problems and everything else. He was young, he was dumb, he did some stupid things back in the day. I understand he was trying to get some money for his family and everything else so that he doesn't have to do shit like this anymore, so he can relax and enjoy, you know, his final years, you know, 20, 30 years, whatever he's got left with his family in comfort. I understand that, but I don't like the fact that this... So I couldn't quite hear what you're saying. You kept breaking up them.
No, I was quiet. I was listening to you.
Ah, okay then. But yeah, it's and him saying that he's really good for boxing. He's a great boxer. He can beat anyone, and he can't. The only actual boxer he's faced beat him. Well, barely. He should have done a lot better than that, but he was being lazy himself. Tommy Fury isn't a real boxer anyway. He's an influencer boxer as bad as any of them, isn't he? He's not a real boxer compared with other people. But it's like, why are people letting him get away with it? Why do people want to pay to see him beat up another old man?
I mean, I completely see it, and it's very sad. I understand why he went for the fight, for the big buck. He had Netflix. He had Who Shall Not Be Named.
Yeah. He
had all these people whispering in his ear, like, if you do this fight, everyone that's involved is giving you. I remember seeing this video circling about, and it was an edit of that scene where he could have just laid him out onto the floor, but they were doing the video of, like, telekinesis, like, if you hit me here, you will boxing career as well, and you will be deemed the greatest boxer of all time for shutting me up. You will not get paid. Everything that you've been promised gets ripped in front of you if you knock me out. Realizing that he wants to make the money.
I'd have to stop you a sec because you keep breaking up. I can't hear a word you're saying.
Basically, in short, he could have just knocked him out and be done with it. But instead, he had the whispers in his ears that you will not get paid.
Yeah.
I wish he knocked him out.
That's the trouble with it. The thing is, it reminds me of something they did in WWE a long, long time ago, Randy Orton.
Yeah.
So when Randy Orton was new, what he did was destroy all the old wrestlers.
Oh, the legend killer.
That's why he's the legend killer. But that's what he did. So goes against Jake the Snake, finishes him. And that's what he did to every old wrestler to kind of go, right, this guy's done, to kind of end careers.
Yes.
And that made sense for that to build his character. But Jake Paul's doing that and expecting people to take him seriously. And it's like, you're just doing exactly the same kind of nonsense. But at least in WWE, it made sense for the character growth for Randy Orton because, I think he's brilliant. He's quite an interesting guy as well, and he's a gamer as well. I thought it was quite interesting. He plays Elden Ring, and he's like got hundreds of hours on it.
Yeah.
It's like mental. You wouldn't expect a guy like him doing that. But I've always liked Randy Orton, right? From when he started. I remember he was like the first wrestler I remember seeing that actually looked like a bodybuilder. Before him, most of the wrestlers were kind of a bit on the chubby side. Then he comes along, he's got the rippling abs, and he was well built. Back in the day, he still looks good, but when he first started, it's like, oh my god, he's like ridiculously ripped. And you didn't see that much in wrestling. Everyone looked like kind of Hulk Hogan and people like that. They had muscle, but it was kind of big, bulky muscle. He was the first person you saw that was lean muscle. And it was like, he was just like totally different.
Late 90s, early 2000s, but in the late 90s, early 2000s, to have a lean person of that stature, it's very difficult, especially in wrestling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why it hadn't really happened. He was the first person to. Then obviously people like Batista and people like that have then come since he started with that very lean kind of look. Well, Batista's obviously a huge monster as well, but he had that lean and he had, the rippling abs. But it was Randy Orton was the first one I saw that was just like, wow, look at the state of this guy. He looks the part. He looks like the character that he was being.
Yeah, ever since he made his appearance on cable television with WWE, I think he's probably done a lot more people around. He inspired a lot of people to push through with the same body build, and WWE, the majority of wrestlers now are lean.
Yeah, exactly. He changed it all because before then, and you won't remember back in the day because obviously I'm a bit older than you, but like the British wrestling, Daddy Haystack, Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks, people like that were big fat men. Yeah. You look at the world's strongest man, Jeff Capes, big fat bloke. That's what strength was back then. It wasn't about lean muscle. It was just being big and heavy and being able to throw your weight around wrestling. That's what wrestling was. You had skinnier guys, but and back in the day, they tend to dress up as Spider-Man and Superman and ridiculous things in costumes around the ring. But it was the big, heavy guys, the Giant Haystacks and people like that were the big wrestlers I remember growing up before WWE came over here. And that's what it all was. And then you see WWE. And it was the same. Greg the Hammer Valentine and Dusty Rhodes, Hulk Hogan. They were all. Hulk Hogan was probably one of the leanest ones there, which is saying something. But look at all the others. They were kind of just big fat guys. Ultimate Warrior was, he was the leanest of that generation.
Either way,
by a huge margin. He was ridiculously lean.
Yeah.
But in a different way to Randy Orton.
Yes.
Randy Orton looked like a kind of model kind of lean, as totally aesthetic, whereas Ultimate Warrior was bodybuilder lean. He looked like he, could compete with, Arnold Schwarzenegger, people like that, whereas Randy Orton looked like a beach model type. He looked like that kind of, it was all about the look. It wasn't about the strength. The muscles weren't there to just be functional. They were there to look good. And that's how, Ultimate Warrior didn't kind of have the same look, because obviously he had the makeup and everything else, and he didn't have that presence, whereas Randy Orton, everything about him would say, look at me, look how amazing I am, and that's the character he portrayed, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. He's one of my favourites, Randy Orton. Brilliant. My favourite was always Mr. Perfect, though, and he wasn't built like that, and Mr. Perfect was just such a fantastic character,
for
and
me,
an amazing wrestler, technically
always
speaking, he's brilliant.
Undertaker until the week.
Oh yeah, Undertaker is without a doubt one of the best of all time. But I'm talking before Undertaker even came on the scene. Like Mr. Perfect was just different. It was he was so good.
Yeah, for me, it's for early days wrestling. It was the Anoa'i brothers, who are.
I don't even know who they are.
Oh God, they're the rock star uncle. Roy Dwayne Johnson.
All right, you're talking like well before I started watching.
They're my favorite. Like they're probably my favorite after Undertaker.
Yeah, talking tag teams. One of my favorite tag teams, which was a short-lived one, was the Rockers.
Ooh.
The Rockers were a good tag team, and it was the whole storyline. Because I think Shawn Michaels he's one of my favorite wrestlers because of his character was so damn good, and he was a good wrestler. His performances, he knew exactly what he's doing at every moment. He's absolutely phenomenal. His character was just brilliant. And when they did that, because the Rockers were good, they were, high octane, they were fast, they were athletic, they do all ridiculous stuff off the top rope. And I remember, like, vividly the day it happened. They were on, like, a bit of a talk show they used to have with Brutus the Barber Beefcake in his, like, barber shop. And they had, this interview. And Shawn just turned around and kicked Marty Jannetty in the face. He did that kick that then became his signature move. He did that to him on the show and just like left the Rockers and went off by himself. It was just like such a huge, shocking moment when he turned bad guy, and that was absolutely amazing. But I just vividly remember because it was so like, oh my God, what did he just do? And his character went like massive after that. Marty Jannetty did almost nothing after that, but Shawn Michaels just like went phenomenal after that. It's so good. It's so ridiculous. Just a kick in the face was like his finishing move, but it was the sound it always made was just amazing. It was just so good.
See, but
it's so sad because, like, obviously he's got a bit of a messed up eye now, hasn't he? But he doesn't care anymore because he doesn't care about his looks. He's older. That was Kane. And Kane kicked him in the face, and it's just like, the big boot to the face. It went a bit wrong, and it kind of messed up his eyes. So he's got a bit of a lazy eye now, and he doesn't even notice it himself. It's just other people say, "Why are you looking in like two different directions?" But these days, he's an older guy. He's got his money. He's done it. It's like, but I just think he's just so funny. It's like he's instantly funny. He's always got a comeback. Like the crowd will shout something at him and have a go at him, and he'll turn around and he'll have a perfect response for it. It's so good. That's what makes him so good, that he has that perfect responses to people. He plays that character perfectly. The arrogance, everything, that how much he loves himself is such a good character. It works so damn well.
I can say the same about the tag team Rated R. Edge.
Don't know them.
Edge and Randy Orton.
Edge. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably when I stopped watching it, because I was watching it as a kid, and I stopped watching it probably late 90s. I didn't watch it anymore. I watched it all growing up, and then kind of drifted away from it.
You left just before John Cena blew up.
Yeah, I saw bits of it, but a lot of it was on like Sky TV, and I didn't have Sky. My parents had it, but I didn't have it, so I didn't want to pay for it. And I was traveling around. I was in university for a while, moved to America, came back, so I was doing lots of other stuff and working, so I didn't end up watching as much wrestling as I used to back in the day. But I remember like when The Undertaker first started and when he came on the first time, I remember all of that.
Yeah.
It was mental stuff. So good.
And that's all the time we have for this podcast. Unfortunately, we had a few technical glitches. Unfortunately, Josh is away at the moment. Well, fortunately for him, obviously. But he doesn't have very good internet where he is, and it just kept cutting out, unfortunately. So next time, it should be a lot better. I hope you've enjoyed. Please follow us if you'd like to hear more, and find us on our other social media. So you can find me on YouTube at Wasn't My Fault, and on Twitch called Nukami. You can find my friend Josh also on YouTube under Welsh998, and on Twitch he is called the Welsh Assassin 998. So thanks a lot for joining us, and please join us again soon next week. Until then, bye bye for now.